Welcome to another edition of Sports Select Sports Talk. I'm your host, Mitchell Clinton, coming to you once again. You saw the shot. We're at the Manitoba Sport Hall of Fame here at 145 Pacific Avenue in downtown Winnipeg. And where else would you want to be with the Canada Games going on right now? How about Team Manitoba right now? Shout out to all those athletes out in Sherbrooke, Quebec, doing so well. We'll talk about one in a little bit, but first we're going to get to the opening kickoff, and we're going to talk Gold Eyes right off the start because they're getting into that stretch run of the American Association. Anytime you get into August, this stuff gets serious. You might remember last year during that championship run, they got in the wild card. They didn't even win the North Division. They got in on the wild card. Things are just as tough for the Gold Eyes this season. Fargo is playing some unbelievable baseball right now, so they've pretty much got the North wrapped up, but you never know in the American Association. What it could come down to is a big 7-game homestand that the Gold Eyes have at the end of August leading into the September long weekend. They got 4 games against St. Paul and 3 against the rival Fargo Moorhead Redhawks. So you're going to want to check those games out. For ticket information, goldeyes.com is the place to go. Moving right along now, August 30th is a big day for the Manitoba Bisons. It's their home opener at Investors Group Field. So much is going into this game. Talking to Chris Zook and Stan Pierre, the defensive coordinator. He'll join us a little bit later on in the show. They're excited. They just can't wait to get on that field. And actually, that game's going to be played under the lights. It's a Friday night game. It's awesome. It's almost unheard of for the Manitoba Bisons. They get to play under the lights. No better way to play as a football player, that's for sure, especially in that kind of facility. Also, more pro tennis coming to Winnipeg. They had the Wood Gundy Challenger in July, and now the Mansfield Tennis Futures event, which was also played last year. They're coming back once again. It's going to be at the Sargent Park Tennis Garden. For more info on that, you're going to want to go to winnipegfutures.com. Moving to the Pat on the Back Club now. Pat on the Back goes to 3 athletes this week. I'll leave the Pat on the Back. We could talk Bombers here. We really could, but I'm going to leave it for the Minute of Fame. We're going to talk Milos Raonic and Vasek Pospisil. Big pats on the back. They got to the semifinal of the Rogers Cup, and obviously showed very well for Canadian tennis. Raonic losing to Nadal in the final in straight sets, but big learning experience for both of them, and Raonic gets into the top 10 in the ATP rankings. Gotta love that. And our third pat on the back goes out to Brianne Siwicki. Now, for people that have watched Shaw TV Sports, you recognize that name, and she's been doing very well for herself at the Canada Games. She's picked up a gold, 2 silver, and 3 bronze. 1, 2, 3. How do you like that? That's all in 1 week. Now, I mentioned we talked to her a little while earlier. She had just broken a record. Here's that story. When Brianne Sawicki pushed off into the final stretch of the 400-meter individual medley at the 2012 Prairie Winter Invitational Swim Meet, she had no idea she was about to break a record.
I had a tough race before, so I wasn't really sure how it was going to go, but during the race, I actually didn't think I was going to do it, but I finished and I was just under it, so I was pretty excited.
Her time of just over 4 minutes and 38 seconds set a new national age group record for female competitors between 15 and 17 years of age. She beat the old time by 19 hundredths of a second, but the crowd and Sawicki's coach, Tom Haney, didn't find that out right away.
It was quite dramatic, as a matter of fact. The electronics didn't work quite that well, so there was a brief pause before the scoreboard went up, and then we saw that she made the time, and the reaction was pretty exciting.
Haney says the swimmer from the Manta Swimming Club in Winnipeg had the record in her sights over a year ago.
Last year we started talking about getting to a final at Olympic trials. She had just had such a great season. She was alongside another good Manta swimmer, Chantal, and we knew Chantal had a chance of making the team. So that started the whole process of, okay, what can we go after? And she did in fact get to a second swim at Olympic trials, and then it was just a natural, okay, what's next? Let's go after the record.
The natural progression for Sawicki is to take her swimming to the international level. She'll compete on the Australian Junior Tour early in 2013. But the tour won't be her first time in international waters. She went to the World Cup last year.
It was more just like fun, I think. It was the first time I had been to a meet like that, and we kind of just went there to see what it'd be like to race there, and I actually made a final in Sweden, so that was pretty cool.
Sawicki is also the holder of 6 provincial records, but she's not satisfied. She's happy with her new national record time, but she's putting her swim cap back on and getting back to work.
Yeah, I was excited to break it, but I'm swimming it again next weekend, so I'm hoping to lower it even more.
For Shaw TV, I'm Mitchell Clinton.
Not ready at all.
So that's the story on Brianne Sawicki. Good for her and that performance that she's having. And once again, a big shout out to all the athletes that are representing Team Manitoba out at the Canada Games in Sherbrooke, Quebec. When we come back on Sports Select Sports Talk, Stan Pierre joins me, not here, but at Smitty's, where the press conferences are always held. We'll be right back.
United voice of sport in Winnipeg.
It's nighttime in a kitchen just like yours. All is quiet. Or is it? The North American house hippo is found throughout Canada and the eastern United States. House hippos are very timid creatures and are rarely seen, but they will defend their territory if provoked. They come out at night to search for food, water, and materials for their nests. The favorite foods of the house hippo are chips, raisins, and the crumbs from peanut butter on toast. They build their nests in bedroom closets, using lost mittens, dryer lint, and bits of string. The nests have to be very soft and warm. House hippos sleep about 16 hours a day.
That looked really real, but you knew it couldn't be true, didn't you? That's why it's good to think about what you're watching on TV and ask questions, kind of like you just did. A message from Concerned Children's Advertisers.
Oh, great job, great job. One place, let's make this count.
I touched the ball before it went out, Coach.
Come on, Alex, the ref did not call that.
I touched it, it's their ball.
It's Alex.
Good call. Sportsmanship. Pass it on.
Sports Select Sports Talk continues from Smitty's, not the Manitoba Sport Hall of Fame as per usual, but we're here at Smitty's because the Bison Sports press conferences have begun once again, and Stan Pierre, the defensive coordinator of the Manitoba Bisons football team, got to kick things off. Usually it's Brian Dobie's spot, but he's kind of...
vacation.
Yeah, out at the Canada Games watching his daughter.
Duties is assigned.
Yes, exactly. Hey? So, I mean, first off, I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, I mean, how's the adjustment going so far to the new stadium? Training camp getting underway in a week here, but...
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's analogous to somebody moving into a new home. It's very exciting, and but with that comes, you know, is this working? Is that working? Where does this go? Where does that go? Type of thing, and moving in and all that sort of stuff. So we've had worse problems over there, that's for sure. It's super exciting. You know, it is getting down to the crunch time, and you know, certain things like our network's not set up, and you know, Wi-Fi's not on yet, and you know, those things are all imminent. You know, but I just need those things to get done so I can just relax and say, okay, we're gonna move full speed ahead.
Yeah. And then once you're on the football field, it's almost like you forget all that kind of stuff and whatnot. Your team coming off a 4-4 year last year where you made it to the playoffs, but defensively had kind of a rough end to the season, especially against, I mean, Calgary is a fantastic team, but I mean, they were able to put up 78 and I believe it was 54 points right after that. Defensively, I mean, you look at, you know, your returning guys. You got a lot of returning guys, including Evan Gill, who just got back from the East-West Bowl. How would you assess where your defense is at right now? Yeah, well, we're certainly work in progress still. The group you mentioned, you know, with Evan Gill and Lauren Croker, David Onyemata, Ranji Atwal, and, you know, a couple new recruits, we should be pretty strong there. We're not deep, but we really think that we'll be able to get that push that we need to maybe protect our back end a little bit, who did really struggle last year. Interestingly, you know, about our team, it was really the second halves and especially the fourth quarter that really hurt us. So, you know, we've got to really concentrate on finishing and finishing strong, and maybe psychologically not being afraid to take that step and not worried about making that mistake. You know, we lost a couple games last year where, you know, we were in control of the game late and the other team was just
chucking it up, trying to get back in the game, and we let them back in the game that way. So, I mean, we need to make those plays this year and not let the opponent make those plays. That's the first part. And then, Calgary, the first game was terrible. The second game, we actually didn't play that badly on defense. There was a couple of, turnover, touchdown type of things that hurt us. Obviously, they're very strong, and we weren't ready to compete. But there were things in that game defensively where there was some shining lights type of thing.
Yeah.
Defensive secondary, we've improved our depth. A big part of the problem with our secondary last year is we had one injury and it seemed to just unravel the entire wheel. Mm-hmm. We hope we've solved that problem. We hope we can sustain a couple hits down there, and for example, Riley Wiggett finished the year at corner for us. Well, he's going to be playing Sam linebacker for us this year. That's the kind of stuff we were doing to try to fix it. So, our depth has been our biggest problem. We have some talented guys in spots. We just haven't had enough in the past, so we hope that competition is increased. Yeah.
One name that you mentioned was David Onyemata. He's going to be replacing Adam Hindley, and you're high on this guy. Oh,
I think the sky is the limit for this kid. I really do. I think athletically he'll be as good as anybody. Of course, because he's from Nigeria, the comparisons come, with Adonijay, and he's a different type of athlete. He's an inside player, not an outside player, but he's quite a bit further ahead than Israel was at this point in his career. The only thing that hurts him a little bit is at least Israel understood the game. He was here. He could watch the game. He was more North Americanized than David is. David is literally learning as he goes. Okay. So on the plus side, he doesn't have any bad habits. But on the minus side, there are some things just with the nuances of the game that he's still picking up. But physically, very special player.
One name that won't be on the Manitoba Bisons defense is Teague Sherman, who obviously is now with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Have you had a chance to kind of talk to Teague a little bit?
Yeah, Teague's been by a couple times. Teague's a type of guy that has always popped into the office, just to, chat. So no different now. He's around still, so he comes by and talks. So yeah, we're excited for him. He's getting acclimated to the professional game. But both him and Thomas Hall, those are big pieces to fill, and those are going to be tough to replace. So, we're going to have to pick up the pieces as a group and as a unit, and hopefully we can do that and make ourselves stronger.
And would you say this training camp that's coming up is the best place to do that? Would you like to see competition kind of in those spots, or do you kind of, as a defensive coordinator in the back of your mind, already kind of know who's penciled in there at least at this point?
Some places it is like that. We do a lot of our evaluation through spring camp just so we can have a depth chart. A lot of things we tell the players, the depth chart is not going to be the same as it is at the beginning of training camp as it is at the end of training camp, but if you're a guy in the driver's seat at the beginning of training camp, that's where you want to be. Then, if you play well, you're not going to get knocked off. It takes something extraordinary for you to play well. If you're playing well and somebody else behind you is playing well, the more likely scenarios we'll try to find a place for that guy somewhere else. So in that aspect, if you play well and you're on the top of that depth chart, you'll be tough to bump off. But if you're not playing well, changes will be afoot. So there always is. There's always surprises. There's always somebody who comes through the cracks that we maybe didn't expect would have such a great camp, and you just can't ignore it.
Always some pressure when it comes to playing in a new stadium like you guys are going to be able to do this season. But of course, with university football comes the CFL draft, and it's a big year for a few players on the team, especially Evan Gill, who, like you mentioned when you were talking with media a little bit earlier, he's opened some eyes, even though he actually didn't end up playing in that East-West game because of injury.
I mean, if you just look at him, it's hard not to notice him. Yeah. And, he's certainly a talented individual. I think for him, we made the transition moving him inside last year, and I think in the long run that was going to be a better transition for him. We really think that as we work through the spring, it kind of, his coaches were kind of saying he's got it now. He's got it. He's ready to go. So we need him to go. We need him to go and make plays. We need him for our sake. We need him for his sake. I mean, potential only goes so far in these sort of deals, as you know. He needs to have a big year. It's time for him to have a big year.
And just one quick offensive question for you. I mean, obviously the depth chart on the quarterbacks has changed significantly in the last, I mean, you could even go less than 365 days.
Absolutely.
Teo Dizar not here. Ryan Marsh down to the Winnipeg Rifles. So that's obviously changed things. But Jordan Yance is kind of there as well. And where would you kind of slate Yance and Piquet at this point? Are they kind of the two that are battling it out?
Well, they're the two that are battling out. The third quarterback we have in camp, Foster Martins, he's a young kid. I mean, it would be a miracle for him to be a starter at this level right away. So those two are going to be battling out. I mean, Piquet has the experience of being here, and he's, you know, I'm a big fan of Mark Piquet. Every time I watch him play, I just think to myself, he should be the quarterback, you know. But of course, being big, strong, and having a great arm isn't all there is to it. So, you know, there's some intangibles that Yance brings. And, you know, we recruited Yance for a reason. Mark knows that. The program knows that. I know that. Coach Dobie knows that. But we need him to play well. And if he doesn't play well, you know, Mark's going to be the guy.
For sure. Stan Pierre, the defensive coordinator of the Manitoba Bisons football team, who opened their Canada West season August 30th at Investors Group Field. That's the big home opener, 7 p.m. under the lights. I don't think it gets any better, does it?
No, it's very exciting, and you know, come to the game, everybody. Enjoy yourself. I think if you haven't come to a Bison game, you'll realize it's a great brand of football, and you know, we're hoping to fill that place the best we can and have a real exciting environment.
Definitely. Tickets available on Ticketmaster as well. You can get more information on tickets and ticket prices at gobisons.ca. And hey, you can even check out the schedule that the Bisons have this season. We're going to take a break on Sports Select Sports Talk. We'll be right back right after this.
I touched the ball before it went out, Coach.
Come on, Alex. The ref did not call that. It's the championship game.
I touched it. It's their ball.
Don't foul them when they inbound. Alex.
Good call. Sportsmanship. Pass it on.
It's nighttime in a kitchen just like yours. All is quiet. Or is it? The North American house hippo is found throughout Canada and the eastern United States. House hippos are very timid creatures and are rarely seen, but they will defend their territory if provoked. They come out at night to search for food, water, and materials for their nests. The favorite foods of the house hippo are chips, raisins, and the crumbs from peanut butter on toast. They build their nests in bedroom closets, using lost mittens, dryer lint, and bits of string. The nests have to be very soft and warm. House hippos sleep about 16 hours a day.
That looked really real, but you knew it couldn't be true, didn't you? That's why it's good to think about what you're watching on TV and ask questions, kind of like you just did. A message from Concerned Children's Advertisers.
Oh, what a beautiful world, what a beautiful world is what could be.
The reason why you hit this, the T, you took your knob here. If you take your knob there, guess where the barrel's gonna go? There.
Jesse Barfield knows a few things about hitting.
There you go.
His career in Major League Baseball spanned 12 seasons, and 9 of those were spent as a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. So it's no surprise he is one of the Blue Jays alumni in Winnipeg as part of the Blue Jays annual baseball camp.
There you go. The kids were a little rusty, but that's to be expected. They're hockey. We know that. It was a lot of fun. Hitting-wise, that's what I did today with them. They knew what they had to work on and did a darn good job. Let's see what's going on here. you, I need you to swing.
With players between the ages of 9 and 16 taking over Shaw Park for the 3-day camp, Barfield says the lessons he gives each group depends on their age. With older players, he focuses more on the mental aspect of hitting, but for younger players, it's more on technique.
With the younger guys, basic the hip rotation and using your back foot more and the landing clean on the front foot versus landing open, causing your shoulder to fly. That's what we worked on today, and I gave those guys homework to work on. So tomorrow I'm going to take it a little bit further, and we'll have some fun the last day.
Easy way to tell if you're picking up your leg and falling.
Technique is also important to former Blue Jays pitcher Dwayne Ward. For the first day of the camp, class was in session as Ward filled the players in on the most important aspects of pitching.
You know, squaring up body to your target. You know, a lot of kids don't do that. You know, their head goes all over the place, or their head goes to the ground, and they don't look at their target when they're throwing the ball. And we'll get them lined up doing that, and then hopefully that'll carry over to when they play catch, when they play in the games, that they'll remember some of these little tiny drills to get them lined up and get them going where they need to go to.
The camps are held across Canada as a way for the Blue Jays to give back to the boys and girls clubs, where Barfield and Ward spent a lot of time as young kids in their hometowns.
I still laugh because I want to be champ at every sport there, and I got my butt kicked at a few, but basketball and baseball were two of my favorites, and I fell in love with both. Fortunately, baseball worked out for me.
It was like a playground away from the house. I think it's a great thing that the boys and girls clubs, are involved with Major League Baseball. They're involved with what we do, and plus it's a great cause to help these kids.
In 2010, Major League Baseball Commissioner Bud Selig started to give out the Commissioner's Award for Philanthropic Excellence in Major League Baseball, and it's no surprise with camps like this. In 2012, the recipient of that award were the Toronto Blue Jays. For Go Winnipeg, I'm Mitchell Clinton. Nick Patan's speed and quick hands are an asset on the ice. The 43rd overall pick in the 2013 NHL entry draft is learning those assets are even more important as he tries to make an impression at Winnipeg Jets development camp, where he's one of the smallest players on the ice.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always, kind of ready for the challenge. I've always been small my whole life, so getting more powerful and getting ready to play against those bigger guys is a challenge in the making for me.
And then lost the puck, centering, score!
The 18-year-old forward was up for the challenge last season when he tied for the WHL scoring lead, racking up 120 points as a member of the Portland Winterhawks. He knows bulking up his 5'9", 165-pound frame to handle the physicality of professional hockey will be a challenge.
Number 19.
It's always in the back of my head. Summers are big for me, gaining weight, but also gaining the right weight. I'm not trying to put on anything too fast, but keep my speed and everything. So it takes time, definitely for myself. Watching my older brother, it takes a little bit of time. So looking forward to it, and I'm on the right track right now.
Kara coming down, sends it over for Patan, gets up, takes the shot, scores! Oh my goodness!
His older brother is Alex Patan, who played for Michigan Tech in 2013. But the Jets rookie doesn't even have to look south of the border for more muscle inspiration. He's rooming with Winnipeg's 2011 first-round pick Mark Scheifele, whose weight has increased from 175 pounds in 2011 to 193 pounds this year.
Just told me kind of enjoy it. It's a long process, so you just gotta enjoy the week and learn new things from different people.
Sometimes it just takes a little longer for some people to develop, but you have to do whatever it takes each summer to get bigger, and each year is kind of a building block. You can't just jump up 25 pounds in a summer. You gotta build slowly and get to where you are safe and injury free too.
Scheifele is one of 4 Jets at development camp who have been training with former NHLer Gary Roberts. He, along with Jacob Trouba, Lucas Sutter, and Julian Melchiori, are all working with the former Stanley Cup champion.
It's really good to have guys like Troubs and Sutter and Melchiori. It's good to have buddies there and guys that you can kind of compete with, but also outside of training, you can hang out with and have fun. So it's good to have guys like that, and they're all hard workers. So they push me, and I'm sure I push them as well.
For Go Winnipeg, I'm Mitchell Clinton.
The D from Dauphin, Manitoba, Ryan Horn.
This was Ryan Horn's first official shot in the 2013 Players' Cup at Pine Ridge Golf Course. He would par this hole, but to Horn it was more than a regular par. Horn had played on the former Canadian Tour for 4 years, but hadn't been on the circuit since 2010. But that all changed when he was one of the 10 players entered into the PGA Tour Canada event after a Monday qualifier.
I got off to a hot start, so it kind of calmed the nerves early. I was definitely a little nervous going into it. And, I haven't done it for a couple of years, so his confidence ability to get through.
It was the first professional tournament he tried to qualify for since 2010, and his luck wasn't done there. A post-round conversation with Peter Moore, an old friend from Horn's junior golf days, led to Moore putting on the caddy's bib and helping Horn around the course.
I saw him out there in the Monday. I had a different bag that I thought was going in, but the guy I was going to caddy for didn't make the Monday, so we talked kind of briefly out at Glendale, and he said he's looking for someone, and our game's kind of, we know each other very well, and I know his game, so it's going to work out well for us, I think.
The road back to professional golf wasn't always spent on the driving range. Horn's highest career finish on the Canadian Tour during his 4-year stint was a 4th place finish in 2007. So the 31-year-old had to move from the putting green to making some green.
Doing some little bit of odd jobs here and there. Back home in Gilbert Plains for the summer, working at the golf course, so I can work on my game a little bit more this year. I didn't play too much last year. So, just looking forward to getting out there and playing more.
And playing more is what Horn will need to do. He says there is one thing all the players are striving to find in their games.
Most guys, you hear them say consistency, and I think that's what was one of my major problems. And, growing up, it's been 3 years since I've been out there, so I've kind of grown up and learned how to play the game a little bit better now. So just going to stay patient this week and hope for the best.
For Go Winnipeg, I'm Mitchell Clinton. Welcome back to the final segment of Sports Select Sports Talk. Once again from the Manitoba Sport Hall of Fame. Great comments from Stan Pierre, always willing to talk defense or football in general. It's going to be an exciting season for the Manitoba Bisons. We look forward to it. Of course, their home opener once again is August 30th. And if you want tickets, Ticketmaster.ca or GoBisons.ca has information that you'll need. Adults can get in for $15. That's pretty good to see the caliber of football. And the Evan Gill that we talked about, just as big. You got to see him in person. He's just a big guy. Good luck to him in the CFL draft coming up at the end of the year. Getting to the tweet of the week, we talked a lot about football. We're going to talk a lot about football in this segment, and big congrats goes out to Ashley Prest, who went into the Football Manitoba Hall of Fame this month. And here's a picture of Ashley right now. Look at her, just all happy. This is the photo from the luncheon itself. I've worked alongside Ashley at many amateur sport events, press conferences, always willing to say hello and talk a little bit about sports and what's going on in life. So congratulations to Ashley from all of us at Sports Select, Sports Talk, and Shaw TV. Moving now into my minute of fame, and I promised we would talk about Bombers, so we will talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and everything that's gone on. Garth Butchko gone, Joe Mack gone. A lot of the fans at least wanted Joe Mack gone, but I think Garth Butchko thrown in there caught a few people off guard, myself included. But the guy that they brought in, Wade Miller, of course, a former Bomber. He's now the acting CEO. He wasted no time. He called up Joe Mack, and that was it for Joe. I'll be interested to kind of see how this plays into accountability that some of the players feel. Of course, Miller's got to hire a GM to make a number of decisions. And of course, the big thing going into this season was, all of our quarterbacks are great guys, but, poor Buck Pierce can't stay healthy. And Justin Goltz, so far, hasn't really shown a ton, but of course, he's going to be a project. It was the quarterback situation that had to be addressed, and it wasn't. So the way Wade Miller kind of treated Joe Mack, got that done, bang, decision made. I think the choices that'll be made when it comes in terms of players, bringing them in, if there's a free agent out there that someone thinks can help the team, they're going to bring them in. So I think that's going to help increase competition at practices as well. Marcel Belfait, of course, coming in as well as an offensive consultant to Gary Croden. I think that's only going to help. I don't think in the immediate short term it's going to cause any sort of angst or conflict on the sidelines. He's still going to let Gary Croden call his plays, but hopefully this helps Gary kind of understand and get up to speed with that CFL game. He said it himself. He's still a little bit behind the curve with that. Either way, go Bombers. Let's hope that this is something that causes a turn for that organization that has so much history here in the city. Thanks to Stan Pierre for joining us on Sports Select Sports Talk this week, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.